the Mohawks United in Safety and Health. So in New York State alone, there are 20 operational and 35 proposed. If you look it up, it'll say 56 because one data center was canceled. Hyperscale data center developers target rural and tribal communities for access to more water, the cheaper electricity, and they often receive tax incentives. NCCS is seeking a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes, so they would pay a lump sum rather than real property taxes. Man says that he's from Massena, he's from, what is it, Fayetteville, where all the rich people are.
It's Flurryville.
Just when we're having conversations about data centers in Massena, Akwesasne is usually left out of the picture, even though we are in closest proximity, more so than the village of Massena is to these sites. Hyperscale data center, generative AI data center. And these are really exploding in a lot of rural communities. And they sometimes consume as much water and power as entire cities.
For those who build their own computers, data centers are making it really expensive. It's taking everything and it's just really inflating the price because the demand is.
So closed loop systems that data centers use are often pumped with like cocktails full of additives such as corrosion inhibitors, biocides, and antifreeze blends to keep the water from rusting, growing microbes, and then cooling the servers. It can only be recycled through the system a few times before it needs to be bled, which is called a blowdown. A single unplanned drain down of a 500 cubic meter loop can release over 3 tons of nitrate to local waterways. NCCS said that they will be importing the water from somewhere else, someone else's river. They then said they were going to discharge into lakes, and then when I said lakes, they said ponds. They're going to someone else's water, someone else's land, but I guess it's okay because it's not in Massena and it's not in Akwesasne. Does that make sense?
Typically, it goes to a place with weaker environmental standards.
We have this myth of jobs that supposed to come to the community that will in the end not come to the community.
Everyone, we have NCCS reps present.
Boo!
Not here to be a villain. Raul Carval, based out of New York City.
What are we saying? We don't want you as a neighbor.
We don't.
Part of McLean.
Well, we don't want you here.
We went ahead and made this map just to understand who NIDIG is, who NCCS is, who Koiman is, and all of the different kind of relationships that they have. They are neighbors, but they're really, really rich neighbors. Even with that wealth, they still have a negative 43% employee growth.
On the NCCS website, there is an option to contact them, so if you want more information, please bombard them.
I work with a lab at Cornell University. I'm a computer and information PhD student there. Cold air is at the bottom of these aluminum smelters. Now you introduce servers that are very, very hot. So any legacy contaminants that are present in the aluminum smelter, when they get in contact with heat, they volatilize.
I went through the application, and these are just a list of some of the wildlife that are on site and will be threatened. They said endangered/threatened species. The northern harrier, the moon-eye fish, and the upland sandpiper. This continuous 2 to 3 year construction will disturb nesting for any of these species. But we all know that sound spreads across the St. Lawrence. We aren't going to be the only ones that are affected, but we need to think of all of our neighbors, the animals, the water, the air.
Unfortunately, some of us are exposed to AI or are forced to use AI against our will.
Please call them, Sam Carbone specifically. Tell him that you don't want this.
With regard to the St. Lawrence County resolution, it's important to note that at committee, it was the Massena representative who was the only no vote in committee. So I think elections matter.
I'm Ginger Joy Welch, and I'm actually running for this county legislature, and I asked the legislature to support the moratorium at New York State level. I have a son who worked at Bitcoin, and good neighbors, I would say not. My son came home every day covered with a soot all over his body that I have no idea what was in that soot. These are miserable jobs to have.
By far the majority of use, and the reason that we want so many data centers all over the country is community surveillance.
Part of the strategy at a national level is to ram these things through as fast as possible so that people don't notice. There's no discussion. All these big behemoths that want to dump all these pollution, noise, light, and into our water as well. It is not out of the realm of possibilities that national greed says, you know what, fuck all y'all. We're gonna cater to just these developers for power.
My name is Cedric Rowanzik. Just like Ginger, I am also running for county legislator. I'm running for District 13 because this AI thing is going to last a long time, right? We feel that? Do we feel like it's a? Did we not hear people talking about how it's a bubble? The guy that predicted the 2008 crash is saying that it seems like a bubble.
BBC.com. There's a really good article on data centers ruining Chile, a huge part of Chile. There's no wetlands, there's no water, everything is ruined. It was a mega data center that they put in. And when you read what they did in Chile, you will never want this. They put it in and there's no going back.
We see at Alcoa's current operation, we saw before at General Motors and GM, these are permits to pollute. Because they have certain parameters and thresholds that they're supposed to follow within Clean Water Act standards, and then they exceed it, and then they get a slap on the wrist.
Local moratoriums, but we passed 3 of them in Canton before we wrote our solar law, specifically to stop any projects until we had codified language on the books that really directed the projects in a way that had the community's best interest in mind. It's not uncommon in utility scale renewable projects for the developers to make intervenor funds available to community organizations, so that it's not at the expense of the town board, the town taxpayer, any sort of civic organizations in the community can apply for these intervenor funds that basically could provide money to hire not third party that they're choosing from a university, but independent studies. And I'm afraid that in the town of Massena, this has moved too far along in their thinking, and I would want somebody more independent to decide who gets those intervenor funds in the town of Massena board.
My name's John Haynes. I'm a resident of the town of Massena. I'm not against data centers as a general rule, because I use it in my work and stuff. My problem is nuclear fission, when it happened originally, it was not for 35 years after they started nuclear fission that they found all of the bad things that it was doing to the environment and people. It needs to be a 20-year study.
And the IDA profits from administering those agreements, so they get a percentage of the value of those agreements. So there's incentive for them to actually go through and sign them.
They're asking for a reduced rate for their taxes, while there are Massena residents that are getting their power shut off too.
Generative AI really hit the market in 2023. And just in those 2-3 years that we've been dealing with it, the demand for it has already dropped by over 40%, which is so much more and so much faster than the Bitcoin mining that the company already did. 40 decibels is where a lot of animals start getting disturbed and their patterns start to change. But also quite often, more and more data is coming out that at 60 decibels or 62, a lot of those species just stop breeding altogether.